Hi everyone. In this video, we'll be looking at how to complete the Unit 2 assessment, which is going to be assigned on May 5th and 6th of this week. So here, I'll go to the Unit 2 assessment in Canvas. And the purpose of the project is for you to apply some of the concepts we've learned in this class. Your project will be graded on its written form, and you'll also share your project in class. The presentation will be informal and short. I would just like us to be able to discuss this together. I do have a Google Doc version of our instructions and rubric. So here's the instructions again. And we'll be going back and forth depending on what we need to look at here. You'll be analyzing data from the Census at School website. If you'd rather find your own data, go for it. Okay, so what we're going to do in this project is choose two variables from the Census at School data. One should be categorical and one should be numerical. Next, we're going to create a question based on those variables. We're going to explain why we chose that question and why it matters. And then for each category, we're going to create a box plot and a dot plot or histogram and comment on the center spread and shape. Finally, we're going to answer the question that we posed by comparing the two distributions. So here's a link to some data. And remember, this is provided by, actually I selected data from 2019 Wisconsin, the state of Wisconsin juniors and seniors who filled out this data. And you can see we've got gender, age, handedness, whether right-handed or left-handed, their height, their arm span. There's a whole bunch of data here. Now the categorical data are things like right-handed or left-handed. Those are categories. And the numerical data are things like height. That's numerical. Okay. So, so what I did was I opened this in, let me open this in Google Sheets here. I opened it in Sheets, and then I decided to ask a question. And my question is, are boys or girls more likely to send text messages? Over here, in this row over here, we have the number of text messages that were sent. So what I did was I took this data, I selected, did I? Let me get up on the, oh, there we go. I select the whole column, tap it, and then I can copy it and paste it into my own spreadsheet. So again, tap it, copy it, and then I created my own spreadsheet because that was too much. That was really overwhelming. And I pasted just gender and text messages received yesterday into this spreadsheet. Okay, so I'm going to actually start my project. The first thing I'm going to do is write my question. And my question is, do boys or girls receive more text messages? Oops. So I'm going to clearly label my question. Well, we'll say males and females. And actually, one flaw here that I could talk about in my conclusion is that I don't know if there is a place for non-binary. When I look at this, I don't see an option for that. So that's something that's a little behind the times. Okay, but I've got my question going there. Males or females receive more text messages. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, let's go back to here, the context. I'd like you to justify, like, why does this matter to you? So I might say something like, as a teacher, I'm interested in knowing trends in phone use. And I certainly could expand on that, but that just kind of gives you an idea of why I'd be interested in this question. I'm interested in why students use their phones and who's using their phone. Okay, the next one is data. Professional looking and accurate representation of data. Well, I kind of have that all set. My data is pasted. Oh my goodness, sorry. It's the example one. My data is pasted here. Now what I did was I took my raw data, and for the purpose of this, I duplicated the sheet, and I named the duplicated sheet clean data. And the reason I did that is I want you to see something here. This person entered the number 100 plus. We can't really have that. I need an actual number. So I'm actually going to throw that data point out. So I'm going to say thrown out for the plus having non-numeric. Okay, here's another one, a lot. That's not going to work for me. So I'm going to throw that out. Okay. And then I also noticed that I have some gaps. Like this female didn't answer. Maybe they don't have a phone. I don't really know. It would have helped me if they put nothing, but there's a gap in the data. So I would identify that. Here's another gap here. Okay, here's another gap up here. So I would identify the gaps just so that I know that that's not something that I threw out. Okay, so there's my data. And I could actually, let's see. I do want you to share your data with me, and to do that, I'm going to turn the link sharing on and copy the link, and I'm going to actually put it in my Notability. This isn't the only way to do this, but this would be one way to do it. Okay. All right. Well, that's kind of messy. This is good for me to see the trials and tribulations of trying to figure this out. Okay, so there's the data, and you can also just share that with me. Okay, the next step. Oops, I wanted to go back to my rubric. Okay, the next step is to make some graphs, clear, accurate graphs. Now, the easiest way to do this is to use Rossmann-Chance. So I'll open up Rossmann-Chance here, and I'll clear it so that it's all ready for me to put my data in. So I'm going to go back to my data, and I'm going to select all of my data. Oops, that's the wrong one. Look, that has a lot in it. We can't have that. I got to go to the clean data. Let me try this again. Okay, so I'm going to select my data. Now, I don't know what's going to happen when I have those gaps in there. So actually, I think what I'm going to do is, oops, is I'm going to delete these rows with no data because I can't really do anything with them. And I kept a copy of the regular data. So I really should have put these notes on my other sheet. But yeah, let's get rid of these because I think they're going to mess me up. Okay, I'm going to clear here. Let me try it one more time here. All right, I'm going to select my data. There we go. That's a nice clean set of data. I'm going to tap it. I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to go back to Rossmann Chance, and this is stacked. So I'm going to select stacked data. It's got categorical and quantitative, and I'm going to paste it in. Let's see how it goes. And I'm going to hit use data. Sweet. Okay. Now look, what I like about Rossmann Chance is it gives me my two graphs right off the bat. I can click box plot and it'll give me my box plots as well. I'm going to have it show outliers for me. If you want, you can do a histogram too. That actually looks pretty nice. So you can decide whether with your data you want a box plot or a histogram. I think I'm going to go with, I'm sorry, a dot plot or a histogram. I definitely want you to have both. I definitely want you to have at least two graphs on yours. Okay, so I'm going to take a screenshot of this, and then I'm going to take that screenshot and I'm going to put it in my Notability. So I add it. And when I go back to Notability, there we go. When I go back to Notability, there it is. Likes to stick. There we go. Okay, so this is number 4. These are my graphs. And maybe I want to make them a little bigger. That looks good. Okay, the next thing on my list after graphs are center and spread. Measures of center and spread are completed for all graphs. Okay, so the center and spread, oops, there I am. We can get those by clicking actual on here. Mean, median, standard deviation, IQR. So I could just snip this again, I guess. And I'll send this to my Notability. I'll start a new page here. We got number 5, center and spread. And we'll bring this up. So there's my 2 groups. Oh, this is interesting. The female group is bigger than the male group. Now look, just by looking at this is really interesting already to me. Females have a mean of 25 texts. The males have a mean of 84 texts, and we definitely have some outliers here. So I'm going to have to think about if I want to keep those outliers, keep that outlier or not. I could see how big of a difference it makes. Okay, what's next here? Shape. The shape of each graph is clearly identified using vocabulary. Skewed, symmetrical, uniform, gaps, outliers, etc. Okay. Both of these are skewed to the right. Both of these are skewed to the right. They are not symmetrical. Okay, and then I would want to talk a little bit about the outliers. Actually, I think that's my next. One. Outliers and gaps. So explain why any data was thrown out. Explain any missing data. So in the interest of time here, this is called shape. I'll give it a heading. So here you would want to identify your outliers, and I would do each graph separately. For the female graph, the outliers were, and then I would list them, and then I would do the same thing for the male graph, the outliers were, and I can see them on my box plot, so it did the computer did the work for me. Okay, let's see. Oh, I keep going to the wrong thing here. Let me go back to my rubric. Okay, so 7 and 8. 7 is comparison of the distributions, and 8 is the conclusion. So when you do your comparison, I'm going to suggest that you actually talk about center, spread, shape, and outliers and gaps, and compare them carefully. And then in your conclusion, you're going to answer your question. I think my numbering got off, huh? So you can break it down. You can say for this, you can say center, and then I would say for the let's see, what did we say? The mean for the females was 25.7. The mean for the males is 84. So I would say something like this. Females texted less than males. The mean for females was 25.7, while males, was 84.3. They texted a lot less than males. Okay, so when you do your comparison, do a comparison for the center, then talk about the difference in the spread. You could use either standard deviation or IQR. It's up to you. And then talk about the shape. Are the shapes the same or different? And then the outliers and gaps. So you're going to have more to say about that. And then finally, you're going to answer the question. My question was, is there a difference? Do fails or females receive more text messages? Or it's really send and receive, right? And I would conclude that males send and receive, oh my gosh, I can't spell, more text messages based on this data set. Okay, forgive my terrible handwriting. I'm trying to make this go, not take too long. Okay, I hope that makes sense. That's what I'm looking for. And please let me know if you have any questions, and we'll have time in class for you to work on this.